Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something important. Have you ever noticed a younger woman smile at an older man and wondered what that smile really means? Is it just politeness, or does it carry something deeper, something we often overlook? Many men dismiss it as mere courtesy, while others, perhaps a bit more cynical, might think it's meaningless, just another social nicety. But what if I told you that smile holds a powerful, often misunderstood significance? In today's world, many men feel uncertain of their value as they grow older. Society seems to place less importance on experience and wisdom, and more on the youth-driven culture. But here's the truth. Despite the noise and the shifting tides of time, there are timeless qualities that never lose their appeal. Strength, wisdom, and presence. These are qualities that women, especially younger ones, instinctively recognize and admire. A young woman's smile at an older man isn't just about attraction or status. It's a recognition of something deeper. Stability, experience, and a grounded presence. That smile might seem like a fleeting gesture, but it's much more than a polite exchange. It's a subtle acknowledgement of strength. Emotional, psychological, and intellectual strength. When a young woman smiles at an older man, it's often because she sees something in him that she values deeply. It's not just about physical appearance or wealth. It's about the calmness, certainty, and self-possession that comes from life experience. It's a signal of respect for a man who has stood strong through life's challenges and continues to walk with dignity. What may seem like just a friendly smile is actually a recognition of resilience. It's a reminder that experience, self-mastery, and wisdom are still highly valued. And for those of you who may feel like society has pushed you aside, let this be a reminder. You still have much to offer. Strength doesn't fade with age. It only becomes richer. So, the next time you receive a smile, remember, it's not just a gesture. It's an acknowledgement of your journey, your strength, and your place in this world. And that, my friends, is something to hold on to. As society tells older men that their time has passed, that their wisdom is outdated, and that it's time to make way for the next generation, many start to believe this narrative. It's a message woven into the fabric of media, workplace culture, and even in social interactions, making many men feel unseen and unappreciated. But here's the truth. This narrative is a fallacy. Age does not diminish a man's value. Rather, it enhances it, especially if he has used his years wisely. Experience, discipline, emotional resilience. These are not qualities that can be gained overnight. They are built through years of hard work and living, and they are just as valuable now as they've ever been. The real issue is when older men buy into the myth that they are no longer needed and retreat from life. They become passive, losing the very qualities that once made them strong. But here's something powerful. Younger women, despite growing up in a world that increasingly questions traditional masculinity, still instinctively recognize strength in men. They are drawn to a strength that goes beyond physicality, strength that comes from overcoming life's challenges, from gaining wisdom, and maintaining emotional control. A man who has built himself into someone with depth, insight, and experience will not go unnoticed, even if society tries to convince him otherwise. The real danger comes when older men start to believe they are irrelevant. They begin to see themselves through a distorted lens, losing confidence, and retreating from their natural purpose. But this is not how it's supposed to be. The role of experience and leadership hasn't disappeared. It's just been overshadowed by a system that places more value on novelty than on substance. In reality, older men still have an essential role to play, and the world still needs them, whether society acknowledges it or not. That smile from a younger woman isn't just a casual gesture. It's a recognition of something enduring, something that holds lasting worth. It's a reminder that what's truly valuable doesn't fade with time. Women are drawn to stability, wisdom, and strength in a man, qualities that go far beyond wealth or status. These are qualities that give them security, guidance, and a sense of calm in an otherwise chaotic world. A younger man may have energy, ambition, and potential, but an older man, who has cultivated himself properly, carries something far rarer: wisdom earned through experience. That wisdom brings stability, one of the most attractive qualities a man can possess. Stability isn't just about financial security, though that can play a role. It's about emotional and psychological steadiness, the kind that cannot be faked or imitated. A man who exudes this quiet confidence and steadiness will naturally draw others to him, including younger women. The reality is this: in a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain, the presence of a steady, composed man is a beacon. You don't need to prove yourself with loud boasts or external validation. Your presence, grounded in wisdom and experience, is more than enough. And for those who recognize it, it's something they naturally gravitate toward, seeking the stability and strength you offer. What many people fail to realize is that true masculinity, rooted in strength, wisdom, and responsibility, is becoming increasingly rare in today's world. Many younger men are struggling with their identity, direction, and purpose, often lost in distractions and insecurities. In contrast, an older man who has weathered life's storms, developed emotional control, and practiced self-discipline stands out. He represents something solid, reliable, and deeply needed in an age of uncertainty. When a younger woman smiles at an older man, it's often an unconscious acknowledgement of these qualities. It's not necessarily about romantic attraction, but more an instinctive response to a presence that feels reassuring. Women respect and are drawn to men who have built themselves into someone strong. The tragedy, however, is that many older men fail to see this in themselves. They remain unaware that the very qualities they've cultivated over time are still deeply valued, whether society openly admits it or not. One of the biggest mistakes an older man can make is allowing himself to become bitter or defeated. Life inevitably brings hardships, failures, disappointments, and losses. But how a man responds to these challenges shapes the presence he carries as he ages. Some men use adversity as a tool for growth, becoming wiser, stronger, and more resilient. Others allow it to break them, turning inward, growing resentful, and believing that their best years are behind them. This distinction is crucial because women, especially younger women, can sense the difference immediately. There's nothing attractive about a man who has given up on life. A man who carries himself with an air of defeat, who sees himself as a relic of the past, does not inspire respect or admiration. He may have once been ambitious, confident, and full of purpose, but if he now moves through the world with the weight of his regrets on his shoulders, he becomes invisible. Not because of his age, but because of his energy, his perception of himself. On the other hand, a man who refuses to be crushed by life's difficulties commands attention. He may have scars, both literal and metaphorical, but these are proof of his endurance. He's experienced loss, yet he still moves forward. He's faced failure, yet still holds his head high. He doesn't let bitterness dictate his actions. Instead, he remains engaged with life, constantly learning, improving, and contributing. This kind of man carries an aura of quiet confidence that's impossible to ignore. Women recognize this energy instinctively. A younger woman may not fully understand why she respects one older man and disregards another, but the difference is clear. A man who has retained his vitality, his curiosity, and his sense of purpose will always be seen as someone of value. It's not about pretending to be young or chasing after youth. It's about maintaining a spirit that refuses to be extinguished. The real tragedy is that many older men surrender too soon. They buy into the cultural lie that they have nothing left to offer. But the truth is, the most powerful thing a man can do as he ages is to remain engaged with life, to continue building himself, to refuse to be defined by his past, and to keep moving forward. Strength, resilience, and wisdom do not fade with age. They grow. And the world, whether it acknowledges it or not, still respects that. When a younger woman smiles at an older man, it's not a random or meaningless gesture. It's a reflection of something deeper, something instinctive she perceives in him. That smile is often an unconscious acknowledgement of the qualities he carries, his presence, his confidence, his stability. Yet many older men fail to recognize this for what it truly is. They dismiss it as politeness or assume it's insignificant, missing an important truth about human nature. Women, whether they realize it or not, are drawn to men who embody strength and certainty. This isn't just about physical strength, but about the way a man carries himself in the world. An older man who has lived well, who has cultivated wisdom and resilience, exudes a different kind of energy. One that does not seek approval or validation, but simply is. He doesn't need to prove himself. His life experience speaks for him. Younger women notice this. It stands in stark contrast to many of their peers, who are still searching for direction, still figuring out who they are. That smile is not necessarily about romantic attraction, though it can be. More often, it's an instinctive sign of respect, admiration, or curiosity. It's a small but significant recognition that this man is different, that he carries something solid in a world filled with uncertainty. A man who has built himself into someone strong and capable doesn't go unnoticed. The problem arises when older men fail to see themselves the way others see them. If a man has internalized the belief that his value has diminished, that he is no longer relevant, he may overlook the subtle signals around him. He might assume that he's invisible, unaware that he still commands attention. The truth is, he simply doesn't recognize it. Confidence is key. A man who knows his worth doesn't second-guess these interactions. He doesn't shrink away or dismiss them as meaningless. Instead, he understands that he has something valuable, something that is still acknowledged and respected, even in a world that often fails to express it outright. That smile, then, becomes a powerful reminder. It is proof that strength, wisdom, and integrity don't fade with time. They become more refined. The question is, does the man have the awareness to recognize this and carry himself accordingly? Older men often underestimate the role they still have to play in the world. Society conditions them to believe that once they reach a certain age, they should step aside, fade into the background, and let the younger generation take over. But this belief is not only false, it's deeply destructive. Experience, wisdom, and resilience are not qualities that lose their value. They become even more critical as time passes. A man who has lived through struggle, who has faced adversity and emerged stronger, carries something that no young man can instantly acquire: deep, lived knowledge. The truth is, the world still respects and needs men who have built themselves into something worthwhile. The problem is that many of these men no longer see their own significance. They have absorbed the message that they are outdated, that their contributions are no longer necessary, and that their time has passed. But this is a dangerous illusion. The stability, insight, and leadership that come with age are just as relevant today as they were in any era. The difference lies in the choices men make, whether they embody these qualities or retreat into the shadows. Younger women, despite growing up in a culture that often dismisses traditional masculinity, still recognize strength when they see it. They may not always be conscious of it, but they instinctively respect a man who is composed, who has direction, and who does not waver under pressure.